Look around at the invisible network of alternating current and radio waves powering our modern cities right now. The man who laid the mathematical and engineering groundwork for almost all of it spent his final days entirely alone in a dimly lit room. By 1942, Nikola Tesla was living in poverty at the Hotel New Yorker. His mental state had deteriorated so severely that he attempted to wire money to Mark Twain, an author who had been dead for nearly 30 years. It is a striking historical paradox. The undisputed victor of the Gilded Age's bitter War of the Currents died penniless, while the contemporaries he defeated went on to become billionaires and titans of industry. To understand why, we have to look at how his brain actually operated. The exact neurological wiring that allowed Tesla to mentally simulate the mechanical laws of the universe made him entirely unequipped to navigate the rules of capitalism. And the origins of that visionary yet deeply vulnerable mind trace back to a specific childhood trauma that fractured him before it forged him. Tesla was born on the rural Austro-Hungarian border in 1856. He grew up caught between two very different influences: a father who demanded strict religious devotion as an Orthodox priest, and a mother who, despite lacking formal education, possessed a brilliant talent for inventing complex mechanical household tools. When Nikola was 7, he witnessed his older brother, Dane, get trampled to death by the family's Arabian horse. Mired in grief, his father began treating his youngest son with open contempt. Desperate to win back his parents' affection, the young boy pushed himself toward impossible perfection. This intense psychological pressure manifested in severe neuroses. He developed a lifelong obsession with numbers divisible by 3, a physical revulsion to pearls, and a compulsion to calculate the exact cubic volume of his meals before taking a bite. The most alarming symptom of his distress, however, was visual. He began suffering from blinding, spontaneous hallucinations, often accompanied by flashes of light, where he completely lost the ability to tell whether the images in his head were real physical objects. While initially paralyzing, Tesla eventually realized he could control these nebulous visions. He developed an extreme coping mechanism, training his mind to corral the hallucinations into a hyper-focused, unparalleled capacity for deliberate mental visualization. This mental conditioning became his ultimate engineering superpower. Tesla could conceive of a machine, assemble the parts, run it for weeks to test for wear and tear, and make adjustments, all entirely inside his head, without ever sketching a single blueprint. This eidetic precision stood in stark contrast to Thomas Edison, who relied on grueling, physical trial and error, and who championed a crude, highly inefficient direct current, or DC, electrical system. This diagram shows the architecture of Tesla's alternative, the polyphase alternating current induction motor. By utilizing circuits that were out of phase with each other, his design eliminated the need for commutators, the clunky metal segments that constantly sparked and required heavy maintenance in DC motors. Instead, the alternating current generates a rotating magnetic field. This invisible force pushes the central rotor in a continuous circle, maintaining a constant stream of power without ever breaking the electrical circuit. Backed by investor George Westinghouse, Tesla's elegant AC system proved its superiority by successfully illuminating the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, decisively winning the War of the Currents. 2 years later, the AC system achieved its crowning victory by successfully harnessing the massive power of Niagara Falls to deliver electricity over long distances. Yet, his complete disinterest in protecting his own patents or maximizing profit margins exposed a fatal vulnerability. Tesla easily conquered the scientific challenges of electrification, but he was entirely outmatched by the ruthless realities of 19th century capitalism. As the world moved on to the next technological frontier of radio waves, an Italian inventor named Guglielmo Marconi beat Tesla to the commercial market. He did this largely by utilizing the foundational transmission patents Tesla had already developed. Stung by this defeat, Tesla escalated his ambitions to an almost impossible scale. He secured a massive infusion of capital from Wall Street financier J.P. Morgan to build an expansive wireless facility called Wardenclyffe. The physical construction of the Wardenclyffe laboratory featured a massive lattice tower, initially pitched to Morgan as a high-tech communications hub that would crush Marconi's early radio network. This animated cross-section shows what Tesla was actually planning. He quietly pivoted the project away from communication, attempting instead to use the Earth's natural electric potential as a giant conductor to transmit free, unmetered electrical power across the globe. When Morgan realized the facility was designed to give away energy rather than sell it, he immediately pulled his funding. A system that cannot be metered or restricted offers zero return on investment. Tesla's absolute inability to compromise his utopian ideals for a marketable, profitable product permanently alienated him from the financial elite, effectively sealing his economic doom. The collapse of Wardenclyffe triggered a decades-long downward spiral. Exiled from the scientific establishment, Tesla spent his later years writing desperate letters to investors, pitching impossible death-rate weapons to the government, and even refusing a Nobel Prize out of spite. He retreated into extreme isolation. Consumed by a crippling fear of germs and his lingering childhood neuroses, he spent his days entirely disconnected from the very society he had sought to elevate, finding comfort only in feeding pigeons from his hotel windows. Inventors like Edison and Marconi approached science pragmatically, utilizing discoveries strictly to build profitable, defensible industries. Tesla viewed his intellect as a divine mechanism, a tool meant to ensure the unconditional salvation and advancement of humanity. He decisively lost the financial wars of his era, but his stubborn refusal to compromise his visions laid the necessary, complex groundwork for the alternating current and wireless data networks we rely on today. We do not live in the pragmatic, transactional economy envisioned by his rivals. We physically exist inside the realized, hypervisual imagination of Nikola Tesla.